It's Friday, the 21st of June, 2024. Welcome to the Fast 5 Business News by Fear and Greed, where we give you the top 5 business stories you need to know in just 5 minutes. I'm Michael Thompson, and good morning, Sean Aylmer.
Good morning, Michael.
Sean, 5 stories, 5 minutes, let's go. Story number 1, Guzman and Gomez hit the ASX yesterday and have found plenty of friends, with its share price surging more than 39% on opening before finishing up 36%.
The listing price was $22 and it jumped to $31, or almost $31, before closing at $30 a share, meaning its market capitalisation pushed above $3 billion. That's almost the size of Domino's Pizza, which has a much larger footprint and a longer history. Pretty successful first day for the fast food group, with just 185 outlets, but with big plans to hit 1,000 stores and push into North America. When it hit the bourse at noon, CommSec data suggested there were more than 1,500 buyers out there. They were chasing about 200,000 shares. Only 44,000 were on offer. The biggest IPO on the ASX since APM Human Services in late 2021. Its success could well encourage other companies to list. So there were plenty of people beyond Guzman shareholders pretty happy with the performance yesterday.
Sean, also the Van Eck Bitcoin exchange-traded fund launched yesterday. How did that go?
Well, there was much less fanfare about it, but what happened yesterday as a result of the Van Eck ETF is probably far more influential than the Guzman float. Van Eck's ETF is the first for the ASX, and the cost to trade is 0.59 of 1%, 59 basis points. That's cheap. Global X also has a crypto ETF, one for Bitcoin. It's also got one for Ethereum, but it trades on Cboe, a much smaller competitor to the ASX. There's another group, Monochrome Asset Management, also has a Bitcoin ETF on Cboe. The fact that yesterday morning Global X cut the cost of trades from 125 basis points to 59 basis points, matching Van Eck, shows how much price competition has gone into the market. It will become cheaper to trade crypto ETFs as a result of what happened yesterday. Interesting.
Yeah, sure is. Now, story number 2, Sean, it is cold along the east coast of the country. That's not the story. That is just a fact. It is quite cold at the moment. And alongside a lack of renewable power generation, there's a risk of gas shortfalls hitting energy supplies.
The Australian Energy Market Operator has issued a threat notice warning of the potential for gas supplies to run short at peak times. We're talking New South Wales, Victoria, the ACT, South Australia and Tasmania. Risk could last till September. The shortage demonstrates the lack of investment in gas in recent years, in part because of government policy. Also, the need for gas to be an interim power source in the transition to renewable energy. Part of the problem, according to the gas industry, is the low amount of renewable generation, particularly around wind. In the past 3 days, Michael, average renewable power generation in the electricity market was about 21% of the total energy used in Victoria. Not a lot.
Story number 3, Sean, shopping at Aldi can save customers about 25% compared to buying at Coles and Woolies. This is according to Consumer Group Choice.
That's based on a basket of 14 commonly bought grocery items, including milk, bread, sugar, tea bags, fruit and veg. Now, Choice used undercover shoppers to record prices from 81 supermarkets. It also included a few IGA stores. The cost at Aldi was $51.50, Woolies $68.58, Coles $69.33. If you apply specials, Woolies was just a little bit cheaper, but broadly Aldi's cheapest. Not much difference between Woolies and Coles, and they're a lot more expensive than Aldi. While the data is a bit scarce on IGA, it does appear to be more expensive. Among the states, Western Australia's most expensive. Perhaps surprisingly, capital cities are slightly more expensive than regional centres, according to Choice.
Story number 4, more than half of all Australians don't expect to fully own their own home by the time they retire, and a similar proportion think they'll actually outlive their retirement savings.
A survey by Vanguard shows that 1 in 5 Australians are renting in retirement and 30% expect to still be paying a mortgage in retirement. Vanguard Australia Managing Director Daniel Shrimsky calls it a sleeper issue because most forecasts for retirement assume no housing debt. But that's not the reality for most retirees. The 2024 How Australia Retires research shows that 40% of Australians have no clear plan for retirement. About half the population don't know how much they pay in super fees. Increasingly, Australians are worried that their money won't last in retirement, with 80% of Aussies somewhat or very worried about running out of money. Mr. Shrimsky says the research shows that planning and having access to a financial advisor gives Australians a better chance at a successful retirement.
All right, last one. Story number 5, a pretty serious one, Sean, to finish on. Energy demand is growing faster than renewables output, meaning that greenhouse gas emissions from energy hit a record high last year as demand for fossil fuels rose, despite a big increase in renewable power.
Energy emissions increased 2% in 2023 to exceed 40 gigatons of carbon equivalent for the first time, according to the Energy Institute's statistical review of world energy. The group said clean energy is still not even meeting the entirety of demand growth, so arguably the energy transition hasn't even started, according to a report in the Financial Times. Fossil fuel use accelerated in high-growth countries such as India, but there were signs demand had reached a peak in Europe, the US and other advanced economies. Fossil fuels share in the energy mix dipped slightly, but it's still 81.5%.
All right, there we go. The top 5 business stories in 5 minutes. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Michael.
It is Friday, the 21st of June, 2024. Remember to hit follow on the podcast. And if 5 minutes isn't enough, you can find our longer daily show called Fear and Greed, wherever you listen to podcasts. And don't forget to check out our other podcast called How Do They Afford That? All about making your money work a little bit harder for you. This week's episode is about budgets. 5 different methods of budgeting your money, and some are clearly better than others. I'm Michael Thompson, and that was the Fast 5 Business News by Fear and Greed. Have a great day.